Hello, hi, Assalamualaikum. Welcome back to our webinar series, which is Cat Lead Cafe series, Cookies and Cream Blended. So with us today, we have Associate Professor Dr. Khalilah Zakaria from UIA. He's a good friend of mine. We are childhood friends. We are schoolmates. And now she's a lecturer, Associate Professor di UIA lah, all right? So our topic, our santai sharing session today is Tradition Meets Technology, a blended journey in landscape heritage, which will be presented by Associate Professor Dr. Khalilah Zakaria. So without further ado, so the floor is yours, Dr. Khalilah.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Hisham. First of all, thank you UPM Kate Lead for inviting me to this cafe session. Interesting, bila tengok poster, saya head barista. So I hope everyone have your cup of hot coffee or iced coffee, cookies and cream or cappuccino for lunch. And this is going to be a santai sharing session, which is a lunch hour kan. So feel free to ask questions after the session or write it in the chat box. I'm Khalilah Zakaria from Department of Landscape Architecture, Kuliah of Architecture and Environmental Design in IIUM Gombak. And it is my great pleasure today to share a bit about my experience in using the blended learning approach. Particularly today, what I'm sharing is from our course. We have a course called Landscape Heritage and Cultural Studies. So usually when we talk about heritage, it's something that is traditional, something that is from the past. But of course, in the world today, we want especially the younger generation to feel more engaged, more immersed when they learn about history and heritage, so they have a better appreciation. Okay, so I will start to share my screen now. Okay, oh, okay, kita tak nak kill the surprise Okay, so ini kira dah mula masuk cafe lah. Barista dah mula nak mix, each of the coffee mixtures. Okay, so this is Tradition Meets Tech, a blended journey in landscape heritage. So first of all, maybe there's the background of the participants today are from diverse background, kan? So kita recap sikit lah, just I want to share what is heritage. So UNESCO defines heritage as a legacy from the past, experience in the present and passed on to the future. So I believe in any field, we cannot run away from heritage or something of the past. And then it is actually very important to what we do in the present and how we plan for the future. Because first of all, heritage is important to maintain cultural diversity. Without heritage, then what is our identity? Kan kita tak ada kita kalau tanpa heritage kita tak ada identity, we would be like a mass-produced society. Everything is the same. Even in social studies or built environment, I came across the term in my PhD. They call it the McDonaldization of culture. So it's like a mass production of culture where every cities tend to look the same, all skyscrapers tend to look the same. And even now, when I think about IKEA, so it might also be something like IKEAnization of culture. Of course, there's a Swedish punya design kan. But then when we adopt external cultures and we don't pay attention to our own heritage, there's a lot of richness that might be lost. So sayang lah dan rugi. And then another reason why heritage is important, because it is our roots of our past that make up who we are. So each one of us, we have, I think, a diverse, rich background. Kalau kita nak kata kita ni 100% pure of a certain, ethnic or race, we are not sure kan, because kita punya ancestors might be from various different cultures, various different ethnicities. So we are actually rooted back to this diverse richness. And especially in a country that is ever developing towards, more developed, more progressive, and then engaging even with technology. So we don't want to lose these roots that make up who we are. And then the third thing is something very important. By learning heritage, it is also our way to understand other people and other places. Kan? So kita ni bukan hidup seorang kita je, bukan Malaysians je, bukan yang duduk dekat bumi ni kan. So by understanding heritage, we can learn about diversity and we can begin to appreciate and maybe even find some similarities with other culture, making it a more harmonized, global society. Okay, so landscape heritage, when we talk about landscape heritage, because I'm from the Department of Landscape Architecture, so landscape of a place includes nature and culture. So natural and cultural elements can include historical monuments, something of an aesthetic value that has historical, aesthetical, cultural, and ecological significance. So if you see here this photo on the right, mungkin ada yang dah pernah pergi, is the famous rain tree walk in Taiping. So this tree dah more than 130 years kan, so it has its own heritage since the British time and the mining time of when Taman Tasik Taiping was developed. So this is actually a site that I will share later on. Macam mana kita nak kongsikan the journey of history in the current time and to the present generation.
So, our tree in UPM dah collapse dah Dr. Khalilah.
Ya ke? Itulah kan. So dia dah sampai masa yang dia dah hayat dia dah habis lah.
True.
Okay? But it's a very beautiful signs of nature and then how the tree has adapted to the locality. Okay, so landscape heritage also include landform, plants, water bodies, built environment and cultural practices. Now talking about Taman Tasik Taiping, macam mana Taman Tasik Taiping dapat bentuk dia undulating? Macam mana dia dapat lake tu? Mungkin tak semua orang tahu, it used to be a mining site. Kan? Ni bukan hanyalah park yang direka bentuk macam itu. Dan mungkin juga tak ramai tahu yang when the British colonized the area, so they wanted to bring back the pastoral landscape yang scenic to the park. That's why they built the park in such a way. So whatever we see today, there's actually a lot of stories and narratives that lead to how it is today. Ini yang kita nak fikir, macam mana kita nak gunakan blended learning to convey these stories, these narratives, so that it can be better understood, it can be conserved, and can be integrated in new development for the future. So landscape heritage is also vulnerable to natural processes. Macam Dr. Hisham kata, ada pokok pun dah mati kan? And then human activity and environmental changes. So documentation in landscape heritage or any heritage studies for that matter is very crucial because this documentation can be used for us to refer back to how it was before. So for designers, for landscape architects, planners in the built environment, historical narratives are very important because it gives the soul to the place. We call this sense of place. Macam kita nak reka bentuk sesuatu tempat, kita nak dig out, what was it before, so that it will not be a place just like any other place you can find in other city or other country. It really belongs to the site. Okay, and during this documentation, it's very crucial for us to include the locals' insights and the narratives. Sebab orang-orang kat situ yang tahu apa yang berlaku and maybe they also experience the changes and they will also have maybe their aspirations and what they feel about the place. Okay, so as part of this course, heritage documentation is also equally important, how we document this heritage. So documentation is an approach to preserve and protect the landscape cultural quality because it becomes a reference point. Okay, kalau kita tengok memang banyak historical documents ada dalam buku, dalam peta-peta, old maps. Ada juga dalam, from those sources, they make documentaries. So now we have digital version. And then what I will share later today is how do we make these historical documents and narratives into something interactive digitally. Okay, so these attributes can also be recorded to aid conservation efforts and land use planning decision. Contohnya, katalah kita tengok satu tapak tu, at the moment, kita nampak tapak tu kosong je, tak ada apa-apa. So without any documentation, we might simply do anything that we want to the site. But maybe we know that it was actually a very important site of an old town yang dah tak ada. Maybe kota pertama. Or maybe it was a site that was a war site. That is symbolic, is very important to the establishment of a certain area. So this documentation becomes a reference point to guide the development of the future. And then all of this could be done by observations and learning from the sites, because in our course, we want to expose students to the relationship between culture, environment, and also society. Okay, so the process of learning about heritage can include both tangible and intangible heritage. Benda yang kita nampak secara physical, those are tangible ones, like parks, monuments, bridges, buildings. And intangible ones might be like stories, customs, celebrations that cannot be seen physically. And in this process, there's also this intergenerational knowledge transfer. So we want to see how we can pass the knowledge of the past to the present and for the future. So over the years of conducting this Landscape Heritage and Cultural Studies course, okay, so this course is undertaken by our third year landscape architecture students. It is compulsory. And then every year kita akan tukar advisor lah, or the coordinator for the course. So I think I've been the the advisor for the course for I think 4 to 5 times lah, bawa student pergi site visit and also assist them in exhibition. So kita akan rotate lah depending on the lecturer. So we would also explore traditional methods and also adaptation of technology. Now I would say that MCO, the pandemic has taught us very much, kan? The pandemic enables us to know that actually work can be done online. We can do collaborative learning and working also online, remotely. And then some documents, macam kita kat studio kan, usually we would have to draw on paper. Tapi masa pandemic, there are several options. We can use our tablet, iPad. Students can draw on paper and take photo from the video and share dekat Zoom. So I think kita dapat belajar banyak pengalaman from MCO in terms of how we can improve our teaching and learning approaches. So I think that is one of the key takeaways lah from MCO among the good things. And as part of this landscape heritage and cultural study, putting up an exhibition become an extension of the heritage site. So contohnya, tak semua orang boleh nak pergi dekat site tu buat masa ni contohnya, but by doing exhibition, like people exhibit in galleries, in museum, that becomes an extension of the site. So kalau jauh, orang boleh pergi dan belajar tentang site tu dekat exhibitions. And then this exhibition is done through various ways of documentation, media, and display. Okay, so for this course, there are 2 primary objectives. We call it Landscape Heritage and Cultural Studies. So the first course objective is to introduce students to the methodology of investigation and documenting heritage information. And the second one is to create awareness about the heritage values by organizing an exhibition. So kita tak nak student tu sahaja yang benefit from their learning. We want them to explore ways to disseminate their findings and share it with the larger public. So usually in KAED, in Kuliah of Architecture and Environmental Design, kita akan buat exhibition macam besar-besaran lah. So exhibition tu will be held 1 week, open to the public, open to university students to come in. So maybe later on untuk tahun depan kan, untuk this year, then I can share to Dr. Hisham, share to UPM, and you all can come over to KAED.
Please do.
Exhibition.
So it will be conducted in UIA.
Betul. Usually kita akan conduct dekat KAED Gallery because it's convenient and we have a really nice space kat situ. Okay, so jemputan awal lah.
Please share the info ya.
Ya, betul. Ni jemputan awal untuk semua partisipan dan juga manager cafe kita ya. Okay, so if you see the photo on the right on my screen, ini kita menggunakan chalk untuk trace patterns from a wall. So I would consider this is actually one of the common traditional methods. Macam mana kita nak dokumentkan something from the site untuk bawa balik ke kita punya studio lah. Kan? So kita boleh guna molding, kita guna chalk, selain daripada ambil gambar. So it's a way to trace real life size of sort of patterns or motifs that we can find on the site. And it's also very ringan lah sebab kita guna chalk atau charcoal and also the paper. Okay, so over the years we have conducted, I think dah lama lah, I think kita dah pergi berapa puluh site lah. Saat now pun dah ada 25-26 batch of students. Okay, so what I'm sharing over here, was extracted from a conference presentation I shared 2 years back on Nusantara. So yang ni adalah examples from 7 of our selected projects that we did in Malaysia and Indonesia. We have also done sites dekat, ada yang dah pergi Spain, Syria, China, and then mana lagi I think yang abroad, yang tu, and then of course Indonesia and also within Malaysia. Oh, ada juga yang dah pergi Vietnam. Okay. The coming one, students, last year the students went to Yogyakarta. The coming one, diorang nak pergi Xi'an. Okay, so kalau later on in October, the Landscape Heritage Exhibition will be on Xi'an. Okay, so the course delivery, there are 3 aspects of the course delivery. The first one is instruments used during the site visit and documentation phase. I'll share with you what sort of instruments that we use. And then the process of teaching and learning. And then the final one is the output approach for the exhibition. Okay, so this is sort of an inventory and analysis that I documented to see how we evolve in terms of the tools and instruments that we use. Kalau kita tengok instruments for documenting, we have mapping using observation checklist, interview, survey, photography, videography, molding. Molding ni gambar yang ada di clay and plaster modeling. And then tracing yang saya tunjuk tadi itulah. And then as a tools, we also have measured drawing where the students would measure the site. For example, there's a monument, historical monument or historical garden, dia akan measure. Kalau architecture, dia akan measure the building. We also have maps as tools and sketches. For example, here students duduk tepi jalan buat sketch of the live scenery that they see. We of course camera and video. Nowadays pun banyak guna smartphone kan, senang. But of course, sometimes they also bring their DSLR and their audio equipments. We have charcoal tracing, plaster modeling, and also drone. So if you see here, we basically, we still integrate the manual, sort of the analog tools, the analog or traditional tools. But starting from typing, the recent one in 2022, we have incorporated drone usage. So masa tu kita dapat grant. This project was very special. We got the SCUM grant from UNESCO kan, Suruhanjaya UNESCO to do this project. So we were able to rent drone. And then kita tak buat dah molding and tracing because we opted for these other types of methodology. So in reflecting the instruments and tools that we had done, we found that manual drawing tools are actually convenient and mobile because they are not battery dependent. So however much we love digital, tapi kadang-kadang nak cepat dan nak senang, keluarkan pen and paper dah boleh lukis and documentkan benda. Boleh lukis, boleh tulis, do annotations. So I believe in design field, we would never throw away our pen and pencil, pen and books. Sejauh mana pun teknologi kita sampailah.
Exactly.
It's very convenient kan, tak perlu charge and then tak perlu takut habis battery, very easy to carry. Okay, and then we also found that limitations in some small spaces when we use large base maps. So this is when we adjust lah. So we tell students to prepare not just one size base map, but smaller base map macam A3, A4, so that it's easy for them to carry in their backpack while traveling. Sebab memang bila kita buat site visit, kita sangat banyak jalan. Okay. And then when we do molding, so molding good in a way that it can replicate a real life size of the element. But we found that when we travel, it requires time and space for drying, packing, and storage. So there ada a bit of limitation. But nowadays, sometimes if you do measured drawing or you take photo, you can go back and digitize. So maknanya ada alternative approaches that you can combine with digital tools.
Blended.
Yes, to make it blended kan, blended tool to make it more efficient. So we notice this along the way lah. So kita pun tukar techniques kita as kita belajar from the previous years. And then for photos and videos are viewed digitally using laptops and usually will only be printed during the post-site visit analysis. So of course, this is very much money saving dengan environmental friendly sebab kita tak print semua gambar, kita boleh look through. But I think nowadays kan, bila kita guna digital photo, Kadang-kadang dia jadi pula macam death by photos. Banyak sangat gambar. Satu shot tu
Exactly.
sampai 10-20 kan, Syam?
Ya, ya, sebab dia tak ada limit kan?
So storage pun jadi banyak, and then
Ya,
apa, nak pilih pun tak nampak, semua nampak sama je
ambil pun
gambar
sama
kan.
je. Betul?
Yes. So I always tell my students that walaupun you are using technology, say that you don't have any limitation for space kan, tapi fikir betul-betul bila nak ambil gambar tu. So you don't have to spend sampai 10-20 gambar of the same thing. If you can take really good shots, 1 or 2 or 3, sufficient. Kan? Because we also need to consider about the the storage that we use. Digital pun menggunakan sangat banyak storage, betul tak?
Exactly.
Kita punya Google Drive, Microsoft OneDrive, kejap Mohe bagi space, kejap tak bagi space, kejap kena kosongkan. Right? So pun dia ada drawback dia lah. Okay, in terms of process of teaching, okay, so pre-site visit, students would do desktop study. We would have input lectures and they would prepare the instruments. And then we introduce webinar in our recent typing project in 2022 so that a wider audience can be reached with whatever the students have found during their pre-site visit. And then during the site visit, we do the data collection. And in all of our visit, we would do on-site discussions. So kita akan sama ada dekat homestay ke, dekat hotel ke, dekat lodging ke, kita akan cuba dapatkan satu ruang untuk students spin up their work so we can do on-site discussions, which is lagi fresh lah untuk dapatkan feedback and improve their process. And then for post-site visit, we have progress presentation, book preparation, video documentary, drawings, exhibition materials, and maybe also webinar as an output. So kalau kita tengok dekat sini ada manual, and also they would do digital modeling in computer, in SketchUp. So it's a mixture. So in this process of teaching and learning, it's very important for the students to see the site firsthand because they can interact with the locals and gather information. Cumanya masa MCO, because we couldn't travel, so walaupun ia sesuatu kekangan, it gave us another opportunity. So during that particular year, we actually did international virtual heritage visit. So kita partner dengan ada our friends in Tunisia. So it become a joint program where Malaysian students study about Tunisian sites and Tunisian students studied about Malaysian site.
Virtually.
Virtually, yeah. So yang kita dekat negara kita akan bantu untuk carikan some materials, and then they visit the sites through videos, through Google Earth, through benda virtual lah sebab tak boleh pergi kan.
Ya.
But equally, they were still able to produce the materials that is required for the course. Tapi of course kita ada sedikit kita revisit the requirement lah, so kita tahu kekangan physical we cannot go there kan.
Ya,
But
betul.
it gave another opportunity for another form of blended learning or collaboration to be birthed from that. Okay, and then on-site discussions are very crucial for students to reflect on their process. And then post-pandemic, students also collaborated on platforms such as Canva, Miro, and Google Shared Document. So ni pun kita nampak sebagai another way of working that we shifted after the pandemic, which was to infuse technology. And then even now, walaupun dah lama since post-pandemic, students are still working collaboratively using Canva. Kan? I believe that would be the same jugalah dengan students in most universities.
Yeah.
Okay, and then we found that the most critical phase was this integration of blended learning, which is a shift from analog to digital with their creativity. Okay, and the final part is the exhibition output. As you can see here, the physical, usually we would display the books, drawings, models, posters, the moldings and the tracings and the sketches, and then some of the infographic display. And then digitally, okay, we started doing things digitally from 2019 from Georgetown project, and then typing, digital drawings, digital books, mapping, models, video documentary. And then from Georgetown, they added a website. They also added hologram. And then in typing, other than website and hologram, the students explored virtual reality and augmented reality. So kita nampak the evolution of the course also over the years. So in reflecting this, we found that the most consistent form of physical output, of course, books, drawing, model, and posters. Kita tak boleh lari sebab when people visit, they want something tangible. And then as human, something tangible ni best kan, kita dapat pegang, dapat flip, dapat tengok kan. But at the same time, physical experience can be arranged and displayed, but the disadvantage is the post-exhibition storage. Sebab kita every year kita tukar. So mana nak simpan model-model besar ni? So
I
kita,
have the same issue. I have the same issue.
betul kan, banyak kan. So we
Yeah.
we simpan for a while for, of course, accreditation, for recognition and for display. Tapi lepas dia punya quality tu katakanlah dah deteriorate, then we would document, ambil gambar semua. So make sure we have documentation before kita lupuskan lah, so that we can make room for new models.
Yep.
And then something new that we learned was that digital exhibition material offer a new experience. So websites serve as a digital platform for interaction. So ini yang saya nak sharekan lah of our output. Okay, so this is the DAWN. The DAWN stands for Taiping Heritage Exploration, Digitalization and Appreciation of Wondrous Narratives. So we received a grant from SCUM, from National Commission for UNESCO, and I believe SCUM punya result for this year baru keluar dalam last week or this week. Kan? So yang bestnya sebab kita ada a bit of, kita ada duit lah. So bolehlah student buat extra sikit. Kita boleh sewa equipment. Kita boleh fund some of their printing materials. Boleh sewa drone. Boleh sewa VR goggle. So financially, we were quite well supported from these grants. So this was our team. This project was led by my friend, Assistant Professor, Landscape Architect, Geospecialist, Dr. Nurhanis Diana. So I'm the co, together with Dr. Hazza and Dr. Putri, the four of us. And we had 22 students, third year landscape architecture students as the team. Okay, so for this approach, we implemented what we call the sharp and smart landscape education approach using this 4C and 2T. What are the 4Cs? Critical thinking, creativity, communication and collaboration. And in terms of the 2T would be technology and making it transformative. So for the preliminary work, other than the students buat LR, buat desktop study, they also held mini symposium. Okay, so this mini symposium is aimed for, one, kita nak learn from the experts. And then alang-alang kita dah panggil expert, kita ada this digital platform kan, Zoom, Teams, Google Meet. So we wanted to share the knowledge to a wider audience beyond the classroom. So I think with digital sharing platform like this, like today, we are able to share to a wider audience. I'm in Gombak, you guys are in Serdang, and maybe some other folks are from different parts of Malaysia. Okay, and then this symposium is also for the students to simulate how to host a small event, because later on they now organize an exhibition. So they start kecil-kecil dulu lah gitu. We also had another second mini symposium on digital heritage. So we called on some speakers from our department to share about their experience. Okay. All right, so phase number 2 would be the site visit and data collection. So this one, kita visit the museums, we did sketches on the site, the students conducted interviews, conducted survey, they did mapping, and then they also collected the drone shots of Taiping. Okay, we did the on-site mapping, documentation and discussion and presentation. So setiap malam lah, balik site petang dan lepas makan rehat-rehat, okay, masuk dekat kita in discussion room. So we would present the progress. Okay, phase number 3, after we have come back to the kuliah, go back to our studio, we will do documentation and exhibition preparation. So if you see this image on the left, this is when the students work in their group, they use Miro, which is a digital collaborative workspace. So Miro ni macam Google Jamboard dulu. Something like Canva, so Canva for presentation, but this one is like a big canvas where you can put a lot of things, sticky notes, images, drawing. So senang lah dia nak combinekan digital work dalam satu tempat in the group. But at the same time, of course, we will never throw away manual process. So here they are doing manual ideation process for video documentary storyboard. Okay, to talk about what are the storyboard. Sebab kadang-kadang memang manual ni, kalau you nak buat benda dalam masa 10 minit kan. Kalau komputer, you nak buka, nak buat formatting, manual ni memang paling cepat lah. So we want to ensure that our students do not lose this essential skill. Okay, and they also did mock-up physical books for us to check. So this book, we printed some, and then ada yang hard copy heritage trees ni, kita dapatkan ISBN lah, hantar ke Perpustakaan Negara. And then for both of these books, we also do digital books. So we got the EISBN from Perpustakaan Negara. And for the exhibition display material, they still build models, carve out their display board, infographic, whatever they want to exhibit, because we want to ensure that even the exhibition is also a blended approach. Okay, so here they explore digital tools. Kalau nak ikutkan cikgu-cikgu dia ni, the lecturer, kami manalah tahu kan macam mana nak buat AR, VR, hologram, but we know of the capability and the existence of these tools. So this was the challenge that we gave the students. We said, okay, how about you all try to develop a VR for your site and explore augmented reality and create a hologram. Okay, so students being very creative, adventurous, and they love technology, kan? So they actually learn how to do drawings, how to render it, and what sort of software and apps that they can create to create the VR. This is me lah, trying on the VR headset and the controller. So ni kita sewa lah. Masa ni nak terbang kat site kan, patutnya jalan atas jalan raya. Tapi kita dongak sikit, siap terbang. Lepas tu termasuk bawah jalan. So it was quite an interesting experience lah.
Is it expensive to rent the ni?
I think dia punya, we rented for a week. I pun tak ingat dia punya cost dia. Tapi mungkin for a week tu dalam a few hundreds macam gitu.
Okay.
Okay. So, okay. Okay, so to do the blended learning approach, this is what we envision for the Dawn punya ecosystem. So we have this natural and built heritage of Taiping. So we did some of the mapping, digital mapping. We wanted to put an interactive website so that it is accessible and it can be an experiential knowledge on heritage that people can access from anywhere in the world. And then we expected, of course, a positive user experience where they learn, oh, I never know Taiping is so rich in heritage. Oh, I can press the map for info, it's interactive. Oh, the website is so fascinating. This is our aspiration lah. And then from this, from an increased appreciation, increased awareness and appreciation, that is actually an advocacy for conservation. Because once people have more appreciation, they understand, then they know the meaning of certain things and they know why it must be kept and why it must be kept for future generation. Okay, and phase 4, this is the theme during exhibition day. So we conducted this exhibition for 1 week at Kayat Gallery in October 2022. Okay, dah grad dah. Budak-budak ni pun, students ni semua dah kerja dah sekarang. Okay, so some photos of our hybrid exhibition from here on the left. This is actually a map for the augmented reality. And here was the representatives from UNESCO. Dia tengah try out gunakan tablet and dia to look at the map. So when they look at the map, the buildings would pop out, the parks would pop out in 3D. Wow. So that is augmented reality.
Macam hologram lah.
Dia can point out to the images, ada ni kan, ada gambar-gambar buildings. So dia kan nampak macam bangunan tu jadi 3-dimensional. Okay, we also have our physical model, and here our visitors trying the virtual reality. Okay, here is our interactive map station. So we also rented this touch screen monitor. So orang boleh teruslah tekan dekat situ kan dengan besar. And then of course we have the physical model. And then ni suasana lah dekat exhibition. Ni kalau boleh nampak sikit, nampak ada bangunan, I think museum kot. Dia nampak timbul dekat situ. Our committee showing or demonstrating the interactive mapping. And then we have some corner for animation and then for video documentary. So it was very full lah. Okay, so now I want to show you basically about the Dawn punya portal. Okay, so ini video kita nak tunjuk. Right.
Hi there! Welcome to The Dawn, our innovative digital heritage portal. Now let's start. Log on to heritagetaiping.com. The Dawn stands for Taiping Heritage Exploration, Digitalization and Appreciation of Wondrous Narratives. This is a project by the International Islamic University Malaysia in collaboration with the Malaysian National Commission for UNESCO. In this interactive website, you will be able to learn about the heritage assets of Taiping, Malaysia. You can scroll, click on the maps and icons, and slide through the illustrations. You can click on the landscape features of Taiping Lake Garden and learn about the heritage trees. Then, see how the town has evolved throughout history and learn about its diverse architecture. Now let's interact with the maps. Just click on the icons and interesting information about the place will appear. It is easy to use just at the click of your fingertip. For the heritage trees, you can learn about the scientific names and local names, their age, characteristics, functions, ecological significance, and see what they look like. For the buildings, you can learn about the architectural styles, the year they were built, building materials, and features. You can also access to the gallery to see videos, digital books, and a walkthrough animation that can be experienced using virtual reality. You can read 2 ebooks and flip through the pages right from your screen. Our ebooks share about the heritage of Taiping in more details with attractive maps, images, and illustrations. If you have a virtual reality headset, you can visit a part of Taiping through our virtual reality model. Fascinating, isn't it? There we have it. And now, you know where you can go to learn more about the heritage of Taiping. Visit www.heritagetaiping.com.
Okay, so that is our basically what our website looks like. Okay, so when we did the website, because we had a budget kan, kita memang beli domain name lah. It was heritagetaiping.com. So this is something that also we learned from doing the Dawn, was that after the project has finished, siapa nak maintain, nak bayar the hosting fee. So initially, we said that, okay lah, for another year, we pay ourselves lah, because we really want to maintain this project to be a good reference for others kan. But after another year, then we reverted back to the free version. So now heritagetaiping.com tu dah tak work dah, but it is now in this heritage. You can, in this link, you can screenshot the QR atau ni lah taiping-heritage-exploration.wetflow.io. So, so far, for example, okay, this is the website. Everything is still intact. So Alhamdulillah, tak ada apa-apa function yang hilang, which means that our embedded maps are still here and they are still clickable. So this is the website view lah. Okay. Ni masih lagi ya, kalau kita nak klik dekat bangunan, so dia keluar interactive map. So for this, because it was our first time, we worked together with a graphic and web designer. Our students did all the graphics, the buildings, the landscape, the trees. They did digital illustration. And then we worked with a web designer to help us use the right plugins to create these interactive maps. So daripada buat project ni pun kita belajar software-software yang baru. Okay. And then this is the flipbook, interactive flipbook. Still ada ISBN. We also printed the hard copy one lah. Okay, as shown in the video. Okay. Right. Okay, so what did we learn from doing this project? Okay, for the exhibition, we received a total of 1,463 visitors within that week, because it was also in conjunction with KAED Fest. So we had other exhibitions as well. Students hari-hari lah memang jaga exhibition, dah jadi macam tour guide. Even ada seorang tu, dia dah daripada membahasakan diri dia macam we studied about this, terus macam okay, we conserve this, we did this, macam dia pula majlis pemandaran typing kan. So they became very immersive. And then we did a simple survey to ask about visitors' awareness of typing's heritage value before and after they visit the Dawn. So kalau kita tengok yang pre-Dawn, there's still a number of people who don't know much about typing. But post-Dawn, it has increased that they know about typing. So now 94% from this from the survey yang answer lah. Okay, and then their experience on the digital tools before and after the Dawn. So mungkin tak ramai experience virtual reality. So from the exhibition, they got to experience it, video show, and then even, using hologram. So it's not just for the students, but we also allow other members of the community to experience these types of blended learning. And we had this rating of the overall exhibition, 4.81 out of 5. So all of the students were very happy lah for all their hard work. Orang suka kan, and orang give very good feedback. And for the students, we also did a survey on what they have learned. So these are some of the answers. They learn better about teamwork, about time management, digital skills, digital drawing that they got from doing this landscape heritage and cultural studies. Okay, skill for interview. So kita boleh tengok, even the skills are also blended kan, not just soft skills, but also managing skills and also digital skills. So hopefully when they graduate, they have this other set of skills that they can offer and, for their job and maybe become digital entrepreneurs one day. And their skill improvement based on the 4C to T. So kita tanyalah from their first year, now they are final year student, how has it improved? And obviously, because they were exposed and they got to learn new skills, their skills have improved from first year and final year. So alhamdulillah for that lah on the overall transformation. Okay, so what did we learn from doing all this? So we learned that both analog and digital techniques have their own advantages and disadvantages. So that's why they are complementary to each other. It's very, I think, beneficial when they work together and not in silo because they can complement each other. So for example, digital drawing makes it more convenient and efficient for editing, updates, and collaborative working. And digital content, we can seamlessly transform and produce digital representation to offer new experience. Like now, I can still share with you about typing because we have it in the website. We have the video, we have the books digitally, so semua orang boleh tengok. And then websites made heritage learning accessible beyond physical boundaries. But however, it may incur costs and lack the tactile experience of physical exhibition. So itu dia punya drawback lah. Tapi dari segi dia punya, as long as website yang free tu masih allow, then we have it there lah. But other than that, of course, we keep the digital files. We also learned that analog techniques could capture tangible and material records of heritage. So benda-benda yang macam molding, tracing, drawing, those should be kept lah, even the printed books. And then for the exhibition, when we have physical data collection, it can evoke senses and feelings towards the site. Macam kita nak tengok ni kan, the tour guide, the student showed the trees on the wall and the map. So it's a very performative act of presentation, which cannot be captured from virtual experience. So bila in person kan, you boleh terus tanya soalan, you boleh engage and inquire more, you can see the emotion. So it's something that we cannot really get from digital fully lah. But of course, the drawback of physical display is their durability, mobility, and the need for storage. Okay, so in conclusion, the integration of both analog and digital, we found it to be enriching to understand heritage of place. And then hybrid exhibition display can give immersive and interactive experience, especially to the younger generation. And then even for, I think, older generation pun, kita macam, tak pernah try VR, nak try lah, hologram. So we also learn something new. And then the integration of instrument and tools, it fosters interdisciplinary approaches in heritage documentation. So kita belajar juga daripada orang buat, website. So we learn something else that is beyond our field. The students learn from their friends how to do VR, AR. So ada cross-discipline learning going on. And of course, in teaching course, in teaching any other program, is a continuous reflection, evaluation, exploration, adaptation, and refinement. So hopefully in the future, kita tak tahu macam mana, but we are always improving the course. So I would like to record also a thank you to the lecturers involved and students involved in this in the Dawn project, and also to Department of Landscape Architecture, to KAED, IIUM, also to SCUM for supporting the project. So that's all from me, Dr. Hisham.
Thank you so much, Dr. Kayla. It's very interesting because when I see from your presentation, actually ada juga interdisciplinary where you talk about apa tu tadi? The plants tadi kan, the trees tadi kan? So which I think kita boleh collaborate in future, insyaAllah.
Betul, betul.
Anyway, Dr. Kayla, ada one from the participant. Dia mohon untuk reshare semula link to the website again. Boleh ke?
Boleh. I will share in the chat box.
Chat box, yeah. Thank you so much.
Okay, alright.
So, kita dah dengar very interesting topic from Dr. Khalila. So, please unmute if you have any questions, or you can write your question on chat box. Ada apa-apa soalan ke? Do you have any questions? You can unmute. While waiting, Dr. Khalila, you use both traditional and also technology in your teaching approach, kan? So from your observation, what do you consider the best or the most effective blended learning strategies when you try to engage students in understanding cultural landscape heritage in your subject especially?
Okay, for me, I think based on the experiences of teaching this subject for a few years kan, kita tak boleh nak kata ada satu best approach of blended learning for all, because it would depend satu on the site lah. Kita tengok keperluan site tu, the limitations, and then from understanding the site, we can plan which sort of tools, instruments and methods will be suitable. The second would be the time. Okay, kita kena tengok kita punya time, kita ada selama mana time untuk kita prepare the materials on site, kita nak prepare on the exhibition. Then again, we can decide what will be the most helpful and efficient tool. So kadang-kadang kalau kita nak gunakan something yang terlalu advanced, but we don't have the capacity or the time to do it, then susah jugalah. It will be something of kira panggil a drawback back to what we want to do kan. Dan satu lagi, we look into the resources. So contohnya, katakanlah for the Dawn project, we were very fortunate that we had the grant from SCUM. So the students could rent this equipment. Okay, but not all landscape heritage studies akan ada grant.
True.
So macam kita beli website kan, but there are free resources. Okay, macam contohnya guna Webflow, guna WordPress. The previous batch in Georgetown, they guna Wix site. Okay, and then interactive map, you can check out Genially to do interactive maps. There's also ArcGIS, Journey Map. So banyak juga tools lain yang boleh fit kepada resources yang kita ada. And then the fourth one is I think to look into juga the trend or interest of students for that particular time. So kita tengok mana yang kita boleh bantu untuk push and facilitate. So to say there's one single best approach, I would say it depends on those criteria for that particular project. So it can be very unique. Each project will have a very unique blended learning approach.
You can blend anything lah kan?
Betul. As long as we know what are the options that we have, as long as the lecturers and the students willing to explore. So bila kita explore blended learning pun kerja dia tambah lah juga kan, sebab you are doing both digital and ni kan. Tapi kalau kita ada the spirit of curiosity, of learning, of testing something new, kita kena juga beri galakkan kepada students kita to encourage them, because these are hard work. It's a lot of hard work. It's a lot of benda yang for them maybe it's a new territory that they explore. Sometimes it works, sometimes not work. So depends on kita juga macam mana nak maneuver, so that at the end of the day, we still meet the course objectives, the course deliverable.
Yeah.
And then it's not something that, not too overburdening to the students as well.
True. So, in implementing this blended approach kan, ada tak you notice one student feedback or reflection that surprised you the most? after you
Okay.
use this blended. Ada tak yang macam apa dia punya reflection daripada student kan, yang you rasa wow, tak sangka yang student dapat this experience yang dia appreciate kan? Ada tak
Yeah,
one
yeah.
yang surprise you the most?
Nak recall dah quite lama lah sebab that was 2 years ago kan. Tapi
Ah.
I do see that macam students yang saya tak expect akan suka buat digital drawing, tiba-tiba dia yang buat digital drawing for the books.
I see.
So kita nampak macam a new interest maybe sparked from this activity. But most of it is I think about collaboration, and they got to explore the different tools, and I think one thing that I learned after, this is something that I tanya juga our alumni yang dah bekerja. I tanya apa dia yang courses yang kita ajar antara yang diorang rasa sangat have a positive effect on them. You know, other than of course teaching the technical knowledge, theoretical knowledge lah. So most of them answer our courses, like we have one called landscape seminar, where students have to learn how to organize seminar, write journal papers and organize conference. And another one is landscape heritage, because it taught them project management, it taught them teamwork and also collaborative working and also leadership. So setiap orang adalah leader dalam dia punya biro masing-masing. So they found that because this is like macam kita tak bagi dia A to Z. Students yang kena present kepada kita, what's their timeline, what approach they want to use. We just facilitate and help kan. So this one they found to be very beneficial because it helps them when they go to work. For example, when the boss give them, okay, you need to handle this project. They can plan already. Dia kena tahu buat apa dalam project management. The start, the middle, the hujung, the delivery, the team to build together, the communication. So I think that is something that we don't see, but we only see behind the scenes and after we ask the alumni.
Well done. Kudos to you and your team. Ada
Alhamdulillah.
comment from Dr. Noina. Congrats to Lokila, skill building yang you buat ni kan?
Yeah, Datin Nowina is an architect from our kuliah from KAED. Thank you, Datin, for joining.
I still open question from the floor. We have still time about 7 minutes before we end our blended and cookies learning session. If you have any question, please feel free to unmute and ask Dr. Khalila. Saya import ni jauh daripada UIA Gombak ni.
Itulah daripada suasana nature ni kat Gombak kan.
Rumput-rumput di belakang tu ya.
Itulah. Mungkin ada yang nak cuba ke buat for your class of something. Maybe I share kat sini Genially, kalau you nak try. Genially ni platform untuk buat interactive map, interactive website that you can embed in your website. So after we did this project, our former rector actually asked us to do interactive map of UIA.
Oh, okay.
So we got another grant to do interactive map of UIA. Nak tahulah kuliah ni kat mana, ni kuliah apa.
Ongoing lah ni?
Dah siap dah.
Dah siap dah. Okay.
Nanti I boleh share link. Okay, Datin Nowina, our Datin Architect Nowina, invite please join GA 2026 ICOMOS on heritage. Okay, so nanti boleh look up lah on the
landscape or whatever.
Yeah, betul.
Sure. Thank you. Tadi yang Dr. Khalila ada share Miro.
Yes, Miro.
Dengan yang general ini, is it free, boleh guna secara percuma, or you have to purchase or subscribe ke?
Yes, free.
Free
Betul.
Saya interested dengan Miro tu tadi.
Educators, kita for Miro, kita boleh dapat educators punya account. So it's something like premium, macam dekat Canva lah.
I see. But you don't have to pecah tabung untuk subscribe
Tak payah. Miro is free. As long as you enter your university punya credential to provide your staff or students accounts. And then itulah.
This is Miro or generally or both?
Generally memang free.
Memang free. Yang Miro tadi Miro tadi.
Ya, betul. So, let me share with you satu I share sebelum kita habis sebagai penutup. I'll share with you, this is IIUM punya interactive map. Boleh nampak Syam?
Nampak.
Okay, so this one kita guna Genially. And then inilah kita boleh tahu, okay, ni bangunan apa. So ni yang buat ni, kita work together dengan students yang buat The Dawn. So if people wanted to know what kuliah is located where, so they can see this interactive map. So ini pun free.
Ni free juga.
Platform ni free lah, but to do the design kita kena bayar accordingly lah kan, the
Ya.
students. So
Design lah kan.
we link the interactive map to the kuliah punya website macam ni. Nanti bila orang klik untuk okay, this is KAED, so they can visit KAED's website and we will open another website. So buat digital ni yang bestnya dia boleh interlink kan between different sites, so you can have multi-link punya resources lah in one place.
Nice.
Pecah tabung swipe credit card. Tapi
Term
macam
kami di UPM ni bila ada blended learning ke AI ke yang berbayar ni, kita kata pecah tabung lah.
Okay. But for Canva, I think siapa yang sempat, for lecturers, Hisham sempat dapat tak Canva for educators?
I punya
Tak
memang
kan?
banyak.
Pecah tabung lah.
Pecah tabung.
Okay. I initially pecah tabung sendiri juga because I wanted to use the premium feature. But then after we learned that there's one for educators, so dah tampal beli tabung tu. Then we got the educator. But now, I think Canva dah tak bagi dah for lecturers. They only for school teachers.
Yeah.
So siapa-siapa batch awal yang dapat Canva for educators yang premium tu, alhamdulillah lah, rezeki lah.
Betul. Tak perasan masa dia offer tu because
Ya, betul.
sayang kita dah banyak dah dokumen dalam Canva yang sedia ada.
Because you
Takut
cannot
bila
migrate
dia tukar,
kan.
dia hilang kan.
Betul. Unless you kena you kena share with yourself as a collaborator, tukar owner, banyak kerja lah sikit.
And ada any last question perhaps?
Yes.
Dr. Kira, yes, Dr. Atira?
Dr. Hisham
Yeah.
and Dr. Khalila, thank you so much for your very interesting sharing. If I may ask, Doctor, what would you recommend for educators or lecturers who are passionate about this blended learning, but are teaching courses like myself very dry and theory heavy? So if you could suggest like a software apps for lecturers like me to make sure that the courses would become more immersive and interactive for the students as well.
All right. May I know what course or program you teach, Dr. Atira?
Communication.
Oh, communication. Okay. I think communication is a very fast developing punya subject matter kan. So macam contohnya katakanlah for in my class when I teach theory classes, I also teach planning landscape planning punya theories, professional practice. So how we integrate blended learning, sometimes I use macam Padlet. Kalau untuk minta students upload their opinions ataupun their individual work and then we see in class, that might be a platform that you can use. And for example, we also macam Padlet boleh upload tulisan, gambar, videos and so forth. And then for example, I think macam gamification kan, you use Mentimeter to do survey or you use Kahoot to do game. So that might be something interactive. And other than that, I think, okay, for example, maybe you want to explore Genially. You want your students to do like a promotional assignment ke kan that relates to their communication, whether corporate com, advertising, journalism. So then they can figure out, maybe you can give them a target user. If they were communicating to small children, what sort of approach would they use? If they're communicating to elderly who only speak Malay, what sort of approach would you use? So then they might explore different variations of approach and tools that suit their end user.
Okay, all right. I haven't tried Genially just now.
Genially, yes.
Is it student friendly and lecturers friendly?
Yes, betul. Dia saya letak link dia. Nanti you all can explore. It's user friendly. It's basically macam drag and drop. Kalau you can explore kalau orang nak buat interactive website atau you don't have to have a website as a host. You can present it in Genially itself pun boleh.
Okay. All right. Thank you so
much. All the best.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Atira, for your question. Very valuable questions. Anyone want to ask one more questions, perhaps? Ada? Dr. Amelina ke? Tak ada.
I think this meets the objective of the webinar, Dr. Hisham.
Yeah. Betul? Meet. So, if tak ada.
Maybe one question from me.
Ada? Okay, yes.
Yeah, maybe, if Dalila help, how to apply for the UNESCO grants? You can
Right.
have
Very good question.
Ah,
To get
okay.
financial support.
Yeah, so for the SCUM yang Suruhanjaya K something UNESCO Malaysia, they open macam yang nak announce this month, they have opened it in January. So
Okay.
kalau if you want to wait for the next one, they would probably open it in next year January. And then you can prepare some ideas. Usually they have a certain theme, but they want something hands-on, meaning that what are the ways we can disseminate and share about heritage. Sama ada kita ajar community atau kita buat exhibition, but it's actually about creating more awareness on heritage. Tapi timing dia tu lah, macam January dia akan open, and then dia akan bagi result dalam middle of the year, and then people have like 1 year to execute the project.
Okay, good. Thank you. Yeah.
Welcome, Datin.
All right. Okay, with that, we want to thank Dr. Khalila for your time and your valuable sharing. Thank you to all educators, listeners who joined this webinar series. Thank you so much, Dr. Khalila. So, jangan serik if I invite you again in future.
It's my pleasure, everyone.
Alright, jangan lupa ya, dalam chat box ada Google Form untuk attendance. Please click on the link to fill up few information on of you. Nanti boleh share balik ke Kak Lid punya team dekat bawah dekat chat box, atau you can scroll up a bit, ada online attendance punya link ya. Okay, so with that, Kayla and everyone, see you soon in next webinar series.
Okay, thank you, everyone. Bye-bye. Have a good
Okay,
lunch.
bye-bye.